All right, quick, sneak in some words.
Testing. Potatoes.
All right. Hello and welcome back to Riled Up. I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew, a player.
And I'm a collector. I really should switch to seller. I'm really more of a seller than a collector, though I've got quite a collection, so I don't know.
You're a collector ambitiously. You strive to become one. One day you'll have enough profit to keep a few things.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little hoard, right, of like graded cards and the ladies, of course. I mean, you can't forget the ladies.
Well, that card is officially supported now. It's the best card for Katsu that's ever been printed. And not exaggerating at all. Because, you know, you can just name Crazy Brew with Retrace the Past, and now you've got something to sacrifice for life of the party. It's broken. It's not actually broken, but Dan wishes it is.
I wish. I know it is. It totally is. I forgot to update the.
I tell you what, I am extra riled up this week because I think I'm getting some traction locally. I met a couple of people, started talking to them about card games, and taught them how to play. Used a couple of armory decks. I'm trying to shout over your keyboard right now. I hope it's actually coming through. But
oh, is it that loud?
Yeah, it's insane.
Really? That's really strange.
I watched this video about how microphones work, and I think that you need to get your keyboard, you know, directly behind your microphone, because then it won't pick that up.
Oh, it is. But you know what? When I was doing that recording the other day for Kiki, I might have. Well, I took it out. Originally, I had like completely removed it and I was holding it. And I was like, yeah, like talking into it, like an actual like mic interview. And then I put it back and I didn't realize, actually, let me see. Maybe I flipped it.
Oh my God, that sounds awful. No, you're just, why are you doing this?
Oh geez, oh my gosh, how do I fix this? Oh, actually I need to oil up this arm here. Gosh, I don't know, where is the front of my leg at this point?
What's the opposite of ASMR? This is just straight up culture. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, sorry, I'll figure it out some other day, I guess. I don't know. Can I really not? I think I should rotate it. I don't know.
I think you're losing your marbles on camera. That's the worst. It's so bad now.
Is it bad? You can't hear me at all? I'm super quiet?
No, it's like a hallway. It's a hallway.
Wait, really?
Well, yeah.
Interesting.
I mean,
How about now? Is that better?
Now it's better. Now it's great.
Well, this is where we started at, so I don't know what the problem is.
Well, the problem's the keyboard, and fiddling with the microphone for 15 minutes and making squeaky noises. That was absolutely insane. I can't believe that you just did that to everyone.
Yeah. Well, no, I was worried that it was all right. So they're directional, right? Directional mics.
Yeah.
So it never picks up my keyboard. So when you said it picked it up, I was worried that I put it back in backwards so that the directional was pointing towards the keyboard. So that's why I was trying to rotate it to go the other direction.
Nah, I don't think it was that messed up. I think your keyboard is just, extremely loud.
Maybe. I don't know. You never hear it. I type a lot during these. But let me see.
I don't know. But anyway, it turns out that so Arcane Rising we've talked about before as being like one of the most, if not the most expensive unlimited box. You can't get one on TCG Player. I think it's like 116 shipped before your taxes. I was just randomly on Walmart.com and saw that there was some seller on there that had an Arcane box, and I picked that up, and it was 106 shipped. And I don't even know that anyone would sell you an Arcane Rising box for that cheap. But anyway, that was what one of the locals said that they really wanted to try. They liked the look of those characters, and so we're gonna do some sealed or draft as soon as that box actually shows up.
Oh, gross. Actually, no, I was actually thinking about, I think I've got 2 cases upstairs. I was thinking when you stop over, maybe we'll do a case of it as well.
Of Arcane?
Yeah, Arcane Rising Unlimited.
Dang.
Yeah, that's the big money boxes.
Command and Conquers.
Lots of them. All Command and Conquers. Yeah, I don't know. I've been having some real rough luck with the openings recently until that Monarch one was amazing. That Monarch opening first. Bought those 6 boxes.
I saw that one, but I was actually in the process of trying to teach people the game whenever you were doing that.
Oh yeah, that's no worries. I was just I don't know. Sometimes like some streams just make me feel better sometimes. I don't know. Sometimes I'm in a mood where I'm just like the pit of despair, but like I don't know, if I'm having a kind of bad day, I'm like, I'm gonna stream, and then just kind of yapping at the void, it helps sometimes. That's why I think I realized I did that comic stream where I went over that long box I opened, and I was like hours, and I was like, this is the happiest I've been all week.
Well, you're going through and highlighting all this stuff that you're like, oh yeah, I was excited for this, I was excited for that. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But that Monarch, man, I probably almost doubled the amount I spent on those boxes.
Now, what all did you pull? Because I know that you messaged it to me, but to be honest, I forget. Did you pull a library at all?
No library, but oh, actually, listen, I'm gonna a little inside the magic here. So on my camera stand, I have a little piece of paper where you can't see anything with the light, but there it goes. But with it's my cheat sheet. This is inside the magic. I make up little cheat sheets, and they're just like taped all over it with the pricing. But my biggest hit was the Valiant Dynamo. Oh. Then I got the Herald of Iridation extended art. I got the Vestige of Soul, it was a 2 legendary. I got 6, so 2 legendaries isn't out of the question. But then I also got the Raiden Duskbane Cold Foil.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that was pretty solid. I mean, and those 4 alone.
For anyway.
With the Raiden? Yeah. 43, 45.
Wow. I mean, Bolton is no slouch anymore. Dang.
Yeah, I mean, those 4, I think together were like 320. Which, I mean, I paid $300 for 6 boxes, so it was fine.
Yeah, and that's not even counting the stuff as like, because you said that you pulled some soul shields and soul shields.
Oh yeah, 4 soul shields. They're $16 a piece, and then one of them was foil. So it was crazy. It was a ridiculous opening, and honestly, that's a set I never really considered the rares, there's some really valuable rares in that, and even commons. There was a couple dollar plus commons, because I don't know if it's because it's like first, but those I
Really?
can't
What
pull
were
out
the
of my
commons?
book. I don't know. That would I'd have to look at my actual upload sheets
Yeah,
for
man,
that.
I don't want to go down a rabbit hole trying to search on
Yeah,
TCG there, but
but
dang.
yeah, so it was a solid one. I was like, man, I wish I would have bought more than 6.
Well, I think Monarch is finally. I mean, it has to be recovering. I mean, because the game didn't die, even though they overprinted. It wasn't actually the end of the world, and the shit is finally, you know, going back up a little bit. Because you said you paid $320 for 6 boxes, something like that.
Yeah, after taxes like 320. Because it was 50 a box, and so everything else, yeah, shipping, and then free shipping, and then
And you
yeah,
got to think
taxes.
that your luck is so horrible that, you know, if the singles are actually going for that much. I mean, you pulled 2 legendaries and a majestic cold foil, which, you know, don't get me wrong, it's great that cards have value, but in my mind, a majestic cold foil sitting at $40 whenever the set is as printed as it is, that's actually kind of crazy to me. Those boxes like should actually be more. Like I think that EV might actually be in the opener's favor at this point, as long as
Oh
you
no,
were.
it was. So the EV when I opened it was at 73, I think, per box. So I bought them at 50, so it was like 20 under EV. And I
God.
was like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is why I need to do my EV calculations every week. Just to like do some price hunting. And that was something I've been thinking about. I still have 3 more EV sheets I need to finish making before every set is done. And then I'll have to wait for Hunted. But yeah, I know it's interesting. I was thinking of maybe doing like an EV section on the weeklies. It's just time consuming to
Did the value
import them all.
dynamo move already?
Valiant Dynamo moved, I think, within an hour of me posting it.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you didn't even have to sit on this stuff, right? It's all
I'm
gone.
sitting on the Vestige. Actually, I'm sitting on the other 3 big ones, but I don't know how much longer
Ah.
that'll be.
Well, I mean, the Dynamo, that at least is a good sign for the hype for the Hunted, because that's absolutely, like, if somebody bought it within an hour of you putting it up, it's probably somebody that's looking for, because you put it at the lowest possible, right?
I do. So if any card over $100 is TCG low, anything below 100 goes for TCG low plus 5%. So really, I should probably bump that up to 10%. They actually did a real, I don't know, maybe on a week that isn't so jam packed of news and stuff to go over, we can go over some of the TCG player like pricing strategies. Like they release videos talking about like trending and like how much over TCG low people will pay for in like certain price ranges. And that's kind of where I'm looking to move towards. And I split out all my cards over 100 to like not have the bump up. But you know, cards, I mean, just like a rough cards under $5, people are willing and very frequently pay like 50% more than the TCG low just to like, if it's in a bundle or something, like people mentally are okay with that. And then like from like 10 to $25 or $5 to $25, people are like, oh, we can pay up to like 15% more. Then between that and 100 is like 5% more. So you can actually like do that and maximize your profits. It's pretty interesting. There's obviously a lot more to it than that, but
Sounds like
yeah.
a little bit of sociology, a little social engineering tied into your sales tactics there.
Yeah, yeah. And then once you wrap your head around, you know, people willingly paying $8 to ship them an 8-cent card, like next day, or not even next day. It's 4-day shipping. So it's like I'm like, I mean, my envelopes would have gotten there within 2 days, probably. Like depending on where you're at in the country.
All I can say about that is if you're doing that kind of shipping, hopefully you went and, you know, made money somewhere on a tournament, because you absolutely needed those singles yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always surprised, but I get 1 or 2 a week, and that's fine for me. I mean, I charge. I think for 8. Yeah, they'll pay $8. It costs me 4. 38 to ship. So
Yeah, they don't need it that fast. They're impatient people, I'm sure.
I love it. More impatient people, please. That's yeah, but we do have a ton of stuff to cover this week. I mean, mostly because we missed a week, but we did want to talk a bit about. There was an interview out with who was it? Three floating, three drop.
I'm sure that they would love to be confused with three floating.
Three floating. I don't know. It was three something. Yeah, three drop.
Three drop.
O3's drop.
Yeah, because they went 0 and 3 and then dropped and probably went to go eat dinner somewhere or drink.
But I didn't realize, are they all from Pittsburgh or just the one guy?
Yeah, those guys, no, all those guys are in the local armories. You go out and play in Green Tree or Four Horsemen, you'll see those 4 guys there.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Did you ever run into their circle at all, or?
Oh yeah.
Against them? Oh, okay. So that's cool. I didn't realize it was like people you knew, and
well, so I think Craig started playing very, very like right before I moved. So I don't know Craig as well, but I know the rest of them pretty well. Bryce was actually in the Welcome to Rafe Alpha draft that I did the one time, and he was he was very lucky that night because we had 1 box of Alpha Welcome to Rafe, and he opened both a cold foil Snapdragon Scalers and a cold foil Helm of Eisen's Peak.
That's disgusting.
During a draft,
yeah.
During a draft, those 2 cold foils were in his 3 packs.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous.
But anyway, they had a really great interview with one of my favorite people from LSS because he was one of my favorite podcasters to listen to about Flesh and Blood before he was working for LSS, Carol, and he was the person that taught people how to play Brute, and that was actually one of the things that I really loved about his interview was the comments about Dynasty trying to like make it so that more things would actually block, because it seemed like in Everfest, you know, they printed Wild Ride and made it so that there was all these different cards that didn't block, and he actually convinced them to put a block value on Berserk, which I think is probably one of the few Brute cards I would totally understand if it didn't block.
Yeah, he had a lot of interesting take. I mean, obviously, yeah, he talks a lot about being like a huge Brute guy, and the you know, O3 drop crew. They're all seem to be pretty Brute heavy, which I guess explains you too. I don't know. Maybe Pittsburgh area is just
yeah. So one of my favorite memories is John out of Green Tree. He was playing Blitz with us one day after the Dorinthia and Rhinar deck set came out, and he was playing Chief Ruckatan, and I was like, yo dog, that's really awesome when it works, but when it doesn't work, it's really, really bad. And I ended up on the mirror match and him Rhinar versus Rhinar, and he ended up getting stuck with it in his arsenal. And at the end, he was like, "You were right. This son of a bitch card ripped it in half right in front of me."
No, not Chief. I love those mentors, man. Yeah, but yeah, no. I mean, the interview was. I don't know if it was as in depth as I was kind of hoping. He also had a ton of tech issues. I felt bad. Like, you know, like we have our fair share of tech issues, and so when I see them, like, you know, you get like a big name guess, yeah, and I'm like, ooh, but it hurts. It hurts to see. I'm like, oh, I feel for you guys. I feel so hard. But
at least it was Carol having the issue, you know. It
yeah,
wasn't Drop having the issue. Yeah, but those guys had some great questions, like. It made him talk about balancing out values that aren't necessarily numbers. Like Flesh and Blood is such a game of numbers whenever you look at like what card values are supposed to be. You know, 0 attack for 4 with 3 defense is like the vanilla card, and how Snatch costs that 1 defense to get a draw on hit effect. And, you know, how can you convert that type of, value into numbers for something like Codex of Frailty, which, I've heard people say up into the teens worth of value. So, I mean, I don't know how many mental hoops you have to jump through to get those kind of numbers out of that, but yeah, I suppose Codex of Frailty, some people think they may have overstepped there. But personally, I think those kind of cards are just perfect because it's like people kind of feel like they're a little bit broken, and maybe even people hate to see them because you in a competitive game like this, you want your opponent to be like, "Ah, shit, they got that card," because you want to have the "ah, shit" card.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, one of my favorite. He talks a bit about like designing cards, and I mean, and in the design space, they're like kind of partially done. And he talks about like building up the Emperor, and then the lore team rolls in, and it's like, and he's gone, and they murder him. And it's like, oh man, like. But I thought that was really funny because I guess I never really thought about that. I always kind of thought maybe some of that lore came first. But I guess it does make sense that like the skeletons of the set come in and then you kind of flesh them out with the lore you have and then the lore you build. So,
well, you got to think that that's actually kind of a brilliant little bit of like, just like not like a mind game, because I don't mean it like negatively. I mean it more like, James White probably already knew that the Emperor was going to die. He knew that was what the story point was going to be. But like, if you tell somebody that they're going to get it, that, this character you're working on is going to get assassinated, is that going to poison their thoughts and be like, oh, this guy's weak because he died? If he was so strong, how'd he die? So they didn't have any kind of thoughts like that in their head when they're designing this character that's a warrior and a wizard at the same time. It gives you even more of an impact whenever they think that they're creating this awesome badass and then he's just dead.
yeah, and I was going to look about the. Oh, I thought he was up more new. All right, anyways, now he got. I was looking at. I've been trying to do some data analysis of like the skirmish seasons and all that stuff, and I was seeing that. I was really surprised to see the Emperor had a win in week 1 of this season of skirmish, and so I was like, because I really just didn't expect to see him at all, to be honest with you. But
I mean, Blaze is the better wizard, but I mean, the Emperor can do some stuff. You cannot. It's really hard to overestimate what the Storm Striders can do. Any hero with Storm Striders is going to give you a run for your money.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the set that's probably going to beef him up, right? Like we're with Hunted, we're probably expecting a decent amount of Royal cards coming in, as long as they're not all like Royal Ninja, right? Like or like Royal Warrior.
I mean, they'll definitely have to be like Royal Warrior will be fine. Like, the fact that he's gonna be getting Royal Warrior support is actually kind of like he probably will get very good, I would bet, because he'll also be able to use he'll be able to use the swords that Fang gets unless they make them Fang specializations. So now all of a sudden Emperor has a weapon that actually does something. Like, so far he's kind of just used either like a wizard weapon or I guess you could use Jubil with him, but I mean, you would mostly just use a wizard weapon. But Fang, I think, depending on how those weapons work, that could really give Emperor a huge buff. Because if you just end up playing him, because you'll essentially be able to play him like Fang, except you've got the oh shit button to kill the opponent on their turn with your arcane spell and Storm Striders. So I think he's going to be really strong after this set, probably.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they're making like counter cards, or they're already teasing counter cards that we should see. I think he's going to get a nice little power bump, and then because I think there were specifically like anti-royal cards, if I remember correctly. We'll hit over like the spoiler season stuff a little bit later, but actually, before we get too crazy out of, I don't know. I mean, the Carol interview. Was there anything else huge that kind of like stuck out to you?
So, I mean, I actually had a lot of things that I liked them talking about, like Chorus of the Amphitheater. It ties back to Carol talking about being careful with open-ended cards. But it seemed like he also had this open-minded thought process of like, it's nice to have fun while we can. This is actually like a direct quote from him, which I hope I'm not taking it too much out of context, but to me it sounded like, if we can make an open-ended card that makes exciting gameplay that is not so oppressive, perfect example being Blood Rush Bellow, in my opinion, uh, you know, then it's fine to just make them. And if you make some cards that push them too much later, then, you can ban them. That's how I interpreted that.
I mean, I think it kind of comes in with like the Verdance play, right? Like, when Verdance dropped and she was getting a little silly. They or was it the Kraken's Aether Vein style? That combo.
Well,
they see it coming, right? Like, but they just let it ride, right? They want someone to get one big memorable moment out of it. I think, right?
Yeah, I think that is actually like what Living Legend should be. And to be honest with you, if there could be like some more counterplay to that, like maybe one day that doesn't have to be banned, because maybe I'm crazy, but storm combo that kills your opponent on the turn that you finish the combo is not out of the question in a card game for me. Like, yeah, I think there's plenty of reasons that kind of deck should be fine as long as you actually put some tools that you can use against it. There's another card called Brainstorm that they specifically called out as one of these open-ended cards that they had to design Chorus of the Amphitheater around, to say only actions and auras specifically gain this pump, because they didn't. Brainstorm makes the hero do arcane damage, and they wanted to make sure that didn't get pumped as well. And looking at things like this, whenever I'm playing cards with these new guys at the local game shop, I've actually got to get back into Magic the Gathering a little bit so that I can try and proselytize and convert some other people.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm putting together Modern Storm, because I want to make friends. But it turns out I think the better combo deck in the format right now is actually the Living End Cascade combo, which I didn't realize was playing Shardless Agent, which is one of my favorite cards from playing Legacy, and Shardless Bug like a long time ago. So that's tempting, but for me, it's funny that Acilio is a character that I really liked, and I didn't put two and two together of really thinking that Acilio is a heck of a lot like Storm. You try and bust out all these lightning attacks, and then you can amp for 20 with your Volzar, and that's like, I can't believe I didn't notice the similarities before. If you're a combo MTG player, you would really love playing Acilio.
Yeah, and a bit more of that into like the Living Legend stuff. I'm trying not to stray too much. I'm gonna dabble back to Skirmish Season 10 here real quick. I was really surprised at how many people are winning in Living Legend that aren't Living Legends, right? Like, I really expected a lot of broken heroes, like just thrashing each other. But in reality, there's 24 heroes, all with wins currently in Living Legend. And 8 of them are Living Legends, right? Like, it's crazy to me that like 2/3 of that pool, I mean, not 2/3 of the wins. Obviously, like Bravo's got like 30% of all the wins, or Sarvo, but
Yeah.
But if you don't look at that, if you look at just heroes winning events, the fact that like 2/3 of Living Legend wins aren't Living Legends, like, that's crazy.
I mean, we've got Viserai and Zen a lot in here. and what is it? Visorize that.
Oh,
And
let me see. I wonder if I can. I'll do a little sneaky peeky of how do I do this? Window capture? Create new. Windows
yeah,
Excel. Yeah.
I do actually like that it's heroes that aren't necessarily into Living Legends, simply because like that just shows you how far the game and the meta has come. Like, they're gonna ban Art of War and stuff, so the best Zen deck isn't necessarily a CC Zen deck anymore. It's got to be a Living Legend deck for him to get all the gas out of everything. Which, speaking of, wax on, wax off. Oh my god, I never thought that those cards would do anything, and there they are. Holy crap. I
Yeah,
cannot
yeah,
be
it's a
the
little
only
silly.
one that was surprised about wax on, wax off.
No, and I'm happy to move all my wax ons sold. I think pretty quick. So
Dang.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we can move on to the Living Legend and Blitz
Well, I
wins
didn't know.
now.
Is there any? We can finish up with Carol. I don't know if you had any other big thoughts. It was just was an interesting segue into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only other thing sort of matches up with it, and that's that he did talk about the mastery packs. And whenever you look at a Living Legend metagame report and see that Starvo wins 30% of the metagame, and you're like, well, how do I get all these Guardian cards? Well, hopefully now you can just buy the one Guardian mastery pack, right? Instead of messing around buying Crucible and Everfest and Dynasty and anything else that might have a Guardian single in it that you need. And I wonder what that means for reprints going forward. Like, are they literally going to reprint everything so that, like, when you go back and open up these sets, like, you're really just looking for the rainbow foils? Or do we think that the print runs and the fact that the boxes aren't all open, that the prices should all even out anyway? It's not like they're going to go to zero, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. So it's not exactly a third. It's 119 wins, and Starvo's got 21 of them. So I have a friend who is like professional data analyst. So I'm trying to make up some spreadsheets. I'm gonna bring him over here on Christmas and be like, listen, no, I haven't seen you for a whole year, but let me make this interesting. So, because
You want to do some work?
yeah. He's what does he do? He's like he does all the data analytics for the Boston school district. I think like they have like a dedicated Webby guy basically.
Oh,
But yeah,
cool.
but yeah. So like yellow here means they have attained Living Legend, and then the rest have not. And then these blues are their first week that they have a win.
Oh
So
man, and I do have to point out that my friend Pat Eschke got a crazy Florian was top. He's one of the Pittsburgh guys as well, and he was actually whenever I top aided in the calling, like way back, he was up there with me, and in the last rounds we played a lot of games together. And I always loved playing against him at armories and stuff like that, but he had a very unique deck. He was playing Florian in Living Legend, which, as you were saying, is strange because it's like, oh, this is a brand new character. What's he doing in Living Legend? But holy cow, like he's doing. I don't know. Pat has great ideas with stuff like this because I mean he's got Mordred Tide on top of Florian's ability already, and so you get triple rune chance, and you're not even using a weapon, so you're just Scepter of Pain zapping people for like 2 arcane. It's the most off the wall deck that is still powerful I've ever seen, and I just have to applaud it because I sent him a message. I was like, "Yo, congrats on that top." Doing oh, actually, sorry. It's showing a win, so I guess he didn't win. It was a different showing. So but it's just crazy. I just love that deck, and I had to talk about it because I can't believe Florian's actually living legend as well and like good in it.
Yeah, 3 wins so far. I mean, yeah, we see.
I could just gush all day about how much I love the game design and like, you know, people with a good head on their shoulders can find stuff and figure it out and do something that is really surprising. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like underdog and under spec heroes, and you know, Vincent comes to mind directly, and even Vincent got a win week 2 to me, and that's crazy.
Yeah,
to me.
That was the 03 drop guy. That was Craig.
Oh, was
Poopy
it? Yeah.
did that. Yeah, Poopy did that.
Hmm.
He said that his goal is to get James White to say Poopy one day. So he's got to win something big to make James White say Poopy, which Godspeed.
Yeah. And this, I mean, this kind of, well, I guess this will kind of fast track. I've got Living Legend, and then the Blitz side is a little longer, but it was really cool to see Victor. Victor finally hit Living Legend in week 2. So
it's actually so sad for me, because I really didn't get to play him in Blitz as much as I wanted, because there's not like a whole lot of armories around me anymore, you know, and now he's just done. I think I probably only played like 2 or 3 Blitz armories since he came out, and dang. But it's fine, because he's still in CC. He's a very cool character. I'll just, you know, I'll try some other Guardian. I'll probably pick up Terra for Blitz, to be honest.
Yeah, and like I said, yeah, the Emperor, I was really surprised. I mean, that was a week 1 thing. I think we already talked about it a little bit, but you know, very surprised to see that. And Shiana got her second win this week 3.
I love Shiana.
Yeah, that was cool. I can't believe anyone's playing. Well, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but Enigma New Moon, popping in.
So Enigma New Moon is fun because like I don't know what the deck list is that won, but the effect in my mind where you flip it over and you make the spectral shields, it's like it seems a little bit weak or whatever, but it's so much value in a format with such low life totals. It, you know, I'm not really surprised that it could pop off.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I don't know, any other big surprises for me. Zen getting stronger. Zen's doing better and better. I kind of feel like I need to have another total for total of games per week, because some weeks were, I mean, like week 3 was just a fraction. I mean,
yeah,
Blaze almost won more games in week 2 than there were games in week 3. So
it was probably just getting it down to the wire. Like, it's not like you'd want to be some of the last in line, you know, because if something happens, you can't reschedule because the season's over.
Yeah. But yeah, Blaze is doing maybe too good, but that's...
I would be really happy if they got a non-foil Blaze out in some kind of just normal buyable product before she LLs, because you know, maybe this is a little bit of a hot take. I'm fine with these heroes being introduced as promos, but the fact that like she isn't in anything else, like I would really love to see like adult Blaze armory deck and it comes with a young non-foil Blaze, because it's like I said, it's fine to introduce it, but now there's like, aside from the ones like I think it was like a skirmish season trophy or something, you know, you can't just get a Blaze out of a pack somewhere or something like that.
Yeah, I think it would be better if they're going to be introducing the promo ones, that, I mean, either needs to be an armory deck or even just an armory event, like reward, like for a month, like right, make like January's prize be like, you know, they'll have what each store, you know, give each store probably, what is it, like 33, I think is or
Yeah, that's
11. I don't
normally what
remember.
they
Yeah.
do for larger things where it's just, handout.
Yeah. So I think that would be nice if they did that for the new heroes that they're bringing in. Because I mean, there's enough highly like restricted, like the judge heroes and like those ones. Like we don't need more and more hard to get heroes. I don't think.
Yeah, and I know the judge heroes are ultimate pit fight kind of heroes, but I mean, yeah, I 100% agree that I guess it would be nice if there were non-foils of that too, but that's sort
Yeah.
of besides the point.
I mean, I think there's just like there's a chart, right? Like of number of hyper exclusive heroes that you want, and like I think doing that through like the judge slot is fine, and then you kind of want some slightly harder to get, which could have been like Marvel only or like Shiana, right? Shiana was
She's a legendary.
Legendary, yeah. So, but you could at least still get them through the boxes by chance, I guess, but not as
I would rather have Blaze be Rainbow Foil Legendary in a set than a promo without some other release.
That'd be pretty cool.
I just like I said, I don't mind the promo release that you have to go and travel somewhere to get it, but it really should be accompanied by a non-foil at some point if it's not supposed to be a joke character like adjudicators or merchants or bards.
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. I guess it kind of reminds me back of like the difference between like first edition and unlimited was just a matter of like you could get these heroes like a couple weeks earlier. So like being able to get the heroes a couple weeks earlier at a convention or like certain events, but then you would know 2 months later, oh, everyone's gonna have access to this, right? So
yeah, the first edition and unlimited edition never really did that.
I mean, that was the idea, though, right? Like, well, yeah. And people paid quite a premium for first edition just to get decks before everyone else, which I don't know. I will never understand, but I will, always support because people pay quite a premium for those cards. But we'll see. All right. Well,
I'm glad that they got rid of it, to be honest with you, because it's just confusing. Because you can put the same amount of collectability into a product that doesn't say first edition and unlimited, and it just doesn't even matter which way you go with it, to be honest.
Well, I think the problem is they want like the reverse, right? Like now. Well, I don't like the fact that it's so easy for people to get cards before the release day when vendors that aren't physical stores can't. Like, physical stores are selling packs and stuff and doing events like weeks before the set actually releases. So, like, I can't even get my hands on cards, and people have already been selling them for weeks. So, like...
Well, I mean, I think that you're just a little that problem's just like really personal to you because
well, it's not just me. I mean, it's
you. Yeah, but the whole point is that it's flesh and blood, and if you want to get that sweet pre-release, open up a store and have an armory night.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I'm sure I'm not the only player that's not. Well, I'm not a player, but I'm not the only person not with a local store nearby, right? Like, it's kind of sucks to have people like weeks ahead of you with those cards without a premium to it. Like, it's not a restriction of price, right? Like first and unlimited was. It's a restriction on where you live.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I
just kind of feel like there isn't that kind of demand. Like, if you live in an area that has it, then it'll be like that. I mean, that's not literally everybody is buying stuff and making sure that they go to multiple pre-releases to get multiple packs and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't know. There's enough that like the Facebook markets blow up. I want some of that Facebook market money. Guys.
To be fair, all those prices are extremely inflated, you know. But
yeah, but people are paying them, right? Like, like I could have been selling my Verdant seat for $10 instead of $3. Like I'm robbed of that. It's a shame.
I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah. Well, that was the skirmishes. I didn't want to go over that. LSS also released a article about the year. Happy Holidays 2024. It was like a picture of them all out. I think they were bowling. And
the Auckland Bowling Club.
Yeah, and they released a bunch of some of their big highlights. So what I wanted to do is, let me see if I can. This is gonna be a little. Oh, how am I gonna do this? I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna try to do a share here of this, and I want to do. Sorry, Windows Capture. I'm gonna be doing this all. At least it's not MS Paint, but it's pretty close. It's gonna be in Clip Studio, Paint. What? Why are these all null? Null. All right, let's go there. There. Okay, and then I'm gonna have to make sure that I don't click the wrong thing. Okay, so I wanted to do 2024 year in review, riled up version, where I want to put all of these in a list of what I guess this is kind of where I was up in the air on. Do you think should we order things in their biggest impact to the community, maybe as a whole, or things you just like the most?
Yeah, I think we should both just have our own definition so that can be part of the argument.
Okay. So I've got this. We got some green here. Oh wait, oh shoot, one sec. Let me get the mouse capture on there.
I've got to sit forward in my chair.
Wait, it says capture cursor. Why is my mouse not showing up? Whatever. Okay. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so yeah, we've got green up here. We got red. I mean, it's not really indicative, but I'm gonna go from high to low of everything. So on our list here, we've had 3 sets: heavy hitters, part of the Misfill, and Rosetta. We've got some armory decks: KO, Azalea, Bolton, Jarl, and Dash. And then we also have some non-card. Well, First Strike is cards, obviously, but we had the whole big 5th anniversary event. Living Legends. I kind of put my own little spin on this. Living Legends events finally kicking off. They hit 150,000 armory events worldwide. They launched into Japan. They launched into Mexico. We've got Ira growing up. She's now a big girl in the adult hero format. And the release, and this was the first, I didn't realize this was the first year of Dumpster Dive. We got like 9 Dumpster Dives in the course of the year. So that was like a big shout out on their site. So
yeah, I mean,
and
pretty great.
Yeah, and we can move things around here a bit, but I figure let's start with the big 3, the sets. We'll start with what do you want? Well, we can start with. We'll start with heavy hitters. We'll start with heavy hitters. I believe, I mean, the community, I've never heard a good thing of heavy hitters outside of you and Brian. Brian thinks it's like God's gift to flesh and blood, and you enjoy it very thoroughly. And they actually go out of their way. Like, they had nice things to say, you know, like, oh yeah, you know, Miss Phil introduced Mystic, Rosetta was an all arcane set, and Heavy Hitters, the most popular, most bestest, everyone loved this one, I promise, guys, set. And I was like, I don't know why you have to keep telling everyone it's the best set. I don't think.
I think Heavy Hitters will come into its own over time, because it is an easy set to play, and I don't know what the price of Welcome to Wraith looks like right now, but I have a feeling that Welcome to Wraith will become more expensive, and Heavy Hitters will probably bottom out even further than it is right now. Because I mean, as you're saying, you know, it's not, you know, people didn't really like it, I guess, but the limited is, you know, they even said their own, one of the, basically my only criticism of the limited is the fact that everything is so like copy paste of agility or of whatever, and you just got like all three mechanics. It's just like, okay, you're gonna have one card that gives +3 in a vigor, one card that gives +3 in agility, one card that gives +3 in might, and then it's just like that over and over and over again. And yes, for a lot of people that's probably horribly boring, and I understand that, but also it's also very easy to wrap your brain around the basics and still do a lot of cool things on the hero cards and the equipment. And I think that's probably like a really good set to learn on as well. In fact, when I was getting ready to buy boxes, you know, it was specifically requested to get Arcane Rising, because I was basically just like, yo, if you wanted to play any of these heroes, like, which one are you the most interested in? And they said Arcane Rising, so that one's fine. But if I were to just pick something out, I think Heavy Hitters would be great for newer people. And it is fun even if you're not newer. It's just a little, you know, easier.
Yeah, like I understand some of the appeal for the naming, because I was actually thinking back to, like, you know, World of Warcraft, right? When you're looking at, you know, your first screens and stuff, there's like of the eagle, of the owl, of like those things, and they just kind of tell you, like, you know, owls can be int gear. Eagle, I think, was like stamina int gear or something, and then I don't know, there was like boar and like a bunch of different animals, and it was just a very easy way where you didn't have to mess around with numbers or like reading stats. You're like, oh, by the name, blah blah blah, you know. Now this is good for wizards, or all my mages will always have like owl gear or whatever. So I don't know. Yeah, it was really kind of like a baby's first set, but I also kind of remember looking at, you know, print runs had been stagnant. Print runs, I think, plateaued 3 sets in a row with the same print runs into Heavy Hitters. We were looking at Google Analytics, I think, when Misfail came out. I think we were looking at Google Analytics of the sets, because I remember because I think it was Collector's Week, maybe. Actually, I probably should have put Collector's Week on here, because Collector's Week was amazing to me. I'm going to add Collector's Week. One sec here. We're going to get a little silly. How do I do this?
Let's see if you resize the entire thing and make my head explode.
No, I would never do that. Wait, all right.
So anyway, what is this thing? Do you not have like the words up for it yet? Because I basically just see green and red.
No. I just wanted to put them in an order of like best to worst for the year. And so, but yeah, so anyways, Collector's Week, which I'm here. Look at that. Oh, beautiful. Collector's Week. We were going over, because that was when they released the print runs for Heavy Hitters and the 3 prior sets, I think, all at the same time. And the show that it plateaued, and we were looking at the Google Analytics for how it was comparing against other games, which I mean, surprisingly, it was doing better than I thought against some other games. Like One Piece came out and it was massive, but you could see where the spikes in the, the bottom outs happened, and I think Heavy Hitters was the low point.
I think
Right.
heavy hitters. Well, so I think it's a lot of those things where you hear about like, oh, well, something happened, and then you don't really get that. I think heavy hitters doing worse on those Google Analytics and having like that lower number is, I think it's suffered from being the set after Bright Lights, because I think Bright Lights was already not that exciting for people, and then there was plenty of people that gave it a shot and was not impressed with it, and then also didn't show up for heavy because of it. Is what I think. I think heavy would have done better if like Bright Lights never happened, but maybe that's
Well, I mean, the downfall wasn't at the point of release; it was like weeks after release. So that's
well,
why that was.
well, then maybe it's just because those heroes didn't really do numbers. Like people were excited for Kasai of the Golden Sand, and then where is she in the meta? She's not a factor.
Right.
Betsy's not a factor. Victor is playable, but not really a factor. Olympia is... People play Olympia. You know, one of the 03 drop guys, Smithville, he really likes Olympia, and Olympia's got some tricks. But people don't like to play decks if you've got to like jump through hoops and play a long game. You know, for Olympia to actually be complete in a lot of people's eyes, he's got to have some more flash coming.
Yeah, well, Olympia did get his first victory this week in week 3. So he was on the spreadsheet earlier. I was really surprised to see him come back around. But yeah, I think the 3 biggest low points. Well, Heavy Hitters was the lowest points for Google since launch. Then second lowest, I think, was Uprising, or like a week or so after Uprising. And then before that was the Monarch crash out. Because yeah,
well, I mean, I really, so the Monarch crash out, that's kind of self-explanatory. That bubble was crazy. And then Uprising, though, I can see it. I really don't like limited Uprising. Like, that was one thing that I didn't quite understand with Carol, his interview. One of the things that he said that we didn't mention, but I'm going to mention it now because it's relevant. He said that he was really like happy with how Dromai came up and balancing the dragons and stuff like that. And you know, I guess I'm glad that he's happy that it worked out for Constructed, because I mean, yeah, it was a really good Constructed deck that had many different forms. It was really great in that aspect. But I really did not like that limited set. Limited Uprising just felt so not as fun as many other sets. It really just felt like, you know, if you were the Icelander, you wanted to go first so that you could get your blue in Arsenal. If you were in the Icelander mirror match, generally whoever went first won. If you were in any kind of mirror match in general, whoever, like between Dromai or Phi, then it was basically whoever went second won. And you know, that's not a hard and fast rule because there is skill differential, right? But I don't know. That was just I think Uprising is much lower on the scale of limited than Heavy Hitters. Like, it sucks that Heavy Hitters apparently is worse than Uprising in terms of interest, because I don't know, that's just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because Uprising is just worse.
I think it was just a matter of, well, so it went, what was it? It was Heavy Hitters, Bright Lights. What was right before Bright Lights? Gosh, I should be better at these.
I want to say...
Was it Outsiders?
No, Dynasty.
Dynasty. So Dynasty, Bright
right?
Lights, then Heavy? I don't know. Right? Was it? Where did Outsiders fit into that?
Outsiders was before Dynasty.
Oh, okay.
Or no, you were right. Dynasty was before Outsiders.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. Oh yeah. So I think it was just like 3 kind of weak sets in a row, and just kind of like culminated or like with heavy hitters. But all that to say, I personally, I really, I mean, not to like, oh wait, not text. I mean, of these, well, I shouldn't say that. Of that, I would put heavy hitters. I'm not sure how long this is actually going to end up being. I don't know if I have enough space here, but I think heavy. I mean, I can shrink heavy hitters once. Here we can. But
This is a little boo boo. I
Yeah.
do hate that you're putting it so low because I do
You
think
really
that we
like
are
it,
gonna
yeah.
argue. I it's gotta be. See, I know that you're gonna want to put Miss Vale up super high, and
now I'm gonna put.
low.
We can do Pissville next. I know exactly where I want Missville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it as a set to open it because the cards in it are amazing, strength wise. But in terms of impact to the community, which is what I do want to base this on, because I do have a lot of fun with Miss Vale, but I do think that they just they just gotta accept the L on that one and know that they really overstepped, which they do, But I personally think that that's a big blemish that we just need to just be like, they did it and it's fixed now, but it definitely. There's some people that are beyond salty about Miss Vale.
There are, but if we're talking community level, I mean, I don't want to. I'm not. It's not going to be on the top, but I think it's pretty up there because I think Mistvale, like not looking at the cards itself, but like the set was the turning point to kind of where we end up now, right? Like interest skyrocketed with part of the Mistvale. Sales numbers through the roof with Mistvale. It brought people back and made things interesting again. And even if the set cards like Zen, there was obviously some mistakes, lots of bans happening, but I think that this set kind of brought faith back to the game that was kind of starting to stagnate. I mean, we'll know better once we see like print runs, but I mean, the fact that like heavy hitters was the third of the same print as like the two sets before it wasn't great, but I think part of the Misfail is probably way higher. I think they did really good with that. And I think it was also, I
don't know because a lot of that would have gotten printed in Japanese. I don't believe that the part the Mistvale print run would take into account that kind of push in Japan. So maybe the run's going to be about the same.
I mean, it should count all the prints.
I count different languages in the same print run.
Yeah. I think it's all boxes worldwide.
Okay.
Which is why it hurts more. Like, I mean, because with like the prior, I mean, not to keep dumping on, I'm not blaming heavy hitters, but like those 3 sets, like that stagnated. I mean, there were a bunch of new countries introduced in that, and they still didn't, like, those numbers still didn't raise up. I think part of the Misfail probably has I wouldn't say a lot more, but I think it's probably going to be the first positive movement, as in like upward movement for print runs that we'll see. Which isn't a bad thing, right? In this, if it's in a controlled manner, which we're seeing. I think Mistvale the first one with the warehouse system in place as well.
I really thought that bright lights or heavy hitters was.
Oh, was it? All right. Well, it is the first set with their magical computer system aided assistance with balance, which maybe wasn't.
What is that?
Or I don't know if you remember I think it was Dev Talk 9, where Brian talks about they've got the software that they use now to do some of the balancing and run testing through and the QA stuff. We talked about it.
Man,
pretty confident.
Remember that.
Yeah, but that was some of the stuff that they helped, and I mean, it definitely gave a lot of oomph to the heroes, right? Like, it was also, well, obviously, Zen was broken as hell, but No, Zen. Yeah, Zen.
The funny
But
part
yeah.
is that people like it's not just Zen. Like people are upset about Enigma being too good even after the friggin' Count Your Blessings ban. And I've seen even plenty of people just they don't like new even. You know, the because I think people get resentful that she gatekeeps Guardians pretty good.
I mean, people can be as butthurt as they want to be about Enigma. Do you know how many points and how many Living Legend points Enigma has earned over the last 2 weeks?
0?
0. She hit was it 690 3 weeks ago and hasn't earned a point since. So I think she
Well,
got
there hasn't.
properly neutered with that. Was it the blue count your blessings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really didn't think Count Your Blessings needed to happen, but it is what it is.
I didn't either. I think there was too many strays. Like I think Verdant's caught a rough stray with that one too. But
I agree with that. Because
yeah.
the type of Count Your Blessings just doesn't even feel like a card that they should have banned. Like I can't believe. I mean, they're like, what is the point of Poison the Well even existing? I really liked that they had that key card that was like an anti-life gain card, and they didn't. I maybe they should have made it different. Maybe they'll make a better one. Call it like poison, some kind of better poison. I'm not being creative right now. Because it should just say like all life gain this turn. You know.
Yeah, I mean, because I think there were like James White pointed out. I think 2 or 3 different. I mean, Poison Well being one of them. 2 or 3 different counters to life gain, and them expecting more counterplay. But I think people are
Oh
just
yeah,
too stingy with their sideboards, or they don't like the flow with the meta as much, which is
I don't. People don't. I
yeah.
think it's. I think people get really. I think that's one of the sticking points with the competitive people in this game, is that the sideboard is so small for the number of decks that you might end up facing. So the fact that CYB exists in a format makes it so, oh, well, I need to fit 3 Gravekeeping or 3 Poison the Well so that I can shore up that matchup. And now I can't have 3 of something else. And people don't like that idea of like, well, if I put these 3 in my board and then I don't end up against an Enigma, then I don't have it. I think it's just people that want to have their cake and eat it too, and then it ends up making so many complaints and waves that they end up having to ban CYB Blue. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there. Oh my gosh, who was it? Was it a Hideo comment? Someone, big game designer in the video game sphere was always saying he's like, if players had their way, they would optimize the fun out of everything. And I think that really sticks with like sideboard size. Like I think the fact that LSS is really sticking to their guns and restricting sideboard size really helps people stay more active with the meta instead of just being like, this is my sideboard and forever. No, you almost have to go like week by week, like, oh well, last week you know Blaze 120 or whatever. I mean, I'm thinking back to like my heroes who won. You've got to look at the week before, see like, oh, these are the heroes making a showing, my sideboard has to be prepared against that. Or you kind of like the mental games start happening and you're like, oh well, maybe everyone else's sideboards are going to gear up to beat who won in last week. And then so if
Yeah, I
everyone
mean,
counters those, then maybe week 2 I run this hero with this sideboard, and then I don't know. That keeps things interesting in my head. Like,
well, yeah, they've talked a lot about how the metagame itself is also part of the game, and that they respect that, and that's part of why the sideboard situation is the way that it is. But I don't know. I wish that they would back it up a little bit more because of that CYB ban. I don't know. I'm really touchy about it because I feel like, you know, aggro has to, they've got to banish and play 4 of the same card in the same turn before Zen gets Bonds banned. Like, it's gotta be absolutely freaking crazy. And then CYB Blue is gain 2 life, or yeah, is it gain 2 or gain 1? It doesn't even matter. It's like you gain however much life it is plus X, and you have to spend your turns dirtling and blocking, and like you get your shit banned because people don't want to play gravekeeping. It bothers me. It bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
It's such an innocuous thing to get banned. Because I don't know. You know, you see a card like Art of War, Bonds of Ancestry, and they get banned, and you're like, that makes sense. Those are powerful cards. And then you look at Count Your Blessings, and you're like, this got banned because 9 cards of Count Your Blessings was too much life gain, and people were annoyed and didn't want to sideboard against it. And it drives me crazy.
Yeah, and maybe their move is kind of some like broader counterplay, like cards that can counter more things. I don't know. I really don't know how you design around that. Because I mean because realistically, like if you don't increase sideboard side, but even like 3, like you said, 3 cards to count your blessings, and that's only affecting 2 heroes out of what, maybe 15 or 16 that'll potentially show up. So if you had a card that you could sideboard in that countered 3 or 4, or those broader strokes with those, so maybe we'll see some of that in some card design going forward.
I just feel like there's not that many decks that are all like, I don't know. I don't actually think that you need to sideboard for that many things, because you just gotta play. You gotta play into the matchups that you think you can win. You've got to make those winnable. You've got to give up your matchups that you know that you can't win. And if you go in and say, I can't beat CYB without gravekeeping, then you need to play gravekeeping. Can you beat CYB without some kind of silver bullet because you're a fast aggro deck that's going to kill them before they can get online? Then maybe you don't need to sideboard for it. I mean, that's just part of it, I think.
Yeah.
But I'll let you put the Mistveil up there because I do like it. I personally like it. I hate how much it has made it's definitely one of the most divisive things for the community, I think, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the middle. Yeah, I mean so that's where it's kind of like the 50-50, right? Like, I think it just brought back a lot of players. It brought back a ton of interest. It got people talking about a game. I think we see the boost across the board. So for the health of the game in that way, I think it was fantastic. But like you said, on the counter side, the heroes didn't really hit the way people wanted. But, that was a stepping stone to Rosetta. Now, I want to put Rosetta at the tippy top, but I don't know. I just have such a love for Rosetta that it's probably...
I think Rosetta is like one of the best sets they've ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna... Okay, we're just gonna...
I mean, I can't even, like, the most that anyone has ever said that like is that like the worst thing you can say about Rosetta is that it's fucking like a League of Legends type situation. They're like, oh, this Aurora character is a character that looks like it belongs in a different video game, and it's just like, great insult. You compared the game to a wildly successful game, so sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go through the armory deck. We'll just go in a row. I guess we'll just go down here. The armory deck for KO. Now, I'm not gonna... I really don't have too much to say about most of these armory decks, outside of probably Azalea and Jarl and maybe Dash.
I can talk about all of these because I've owned all of them. I own all of them, played them all out of the box. KO. Okay, so armory decks in general, amazing. Like if we were just gonna say like the idea of an armory deck, that could be up at the top, like competing with Rosetta for how good it is. Because
Absolutely.
the idea of the grab the box off the shelf, it's playable and it's decent, you know, not the best, but it does stuff. It's not a crappy starter deck. I should say it's as crappy as I could deem acceptable, because I mean, when you play the Azalea deck, you're still slinging 13, 14 damage across the board every turn. Like it's you really don't have to do that much to upgrade these decks. For as expensive as Flesh and Blood is, you know, even just like a little bit of budget upgrades could make the deck a lot better. And that's one of the things that I don't like about Armory deck KO is that it should really have had Blood Rush Bellow in it, and I think that I just think that it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, and I do think was this the deck that they brought up before the Osaka event where, you know, the guy rolls in, he picks it up, and then he places with it, right? Like, yeah.
With it, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine that I said that it's not good.
It's some good marketing, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that happened.
Yeah. So
posted on R that happened.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess to that, like, I think. Well, I guess I don't really know the impact. I think from what I read and said, and you know, it seemed like people were really happy about that. Like, I think maybe that pointed more people towards the armory decks.
I mean, I think it's great, right? That it's even possible. You know, hopefully it was just, you know, it was legit and dude just got super lucky, or maybe played against people that didn't know how KO works or something. Doesn't really matter. I'm just saying that deck out of all of them is like the least to me. The other four are much better bang for the buck in my opinion.
So are you thinking closer to heavy hitters, like middle part, Missville?
You're not gonna let me put it under heavy hitters, so just put it right above.
I mean, I don't care. You can put under heavy hitters if you want. I just
personally think that deck could have been better, but you know, I'm a Pittsburgh Brute guy. So I'm gonna be hard to impress with that deck because it just I don't know. Whenever I play the Dash IO deck, I'm like, wow, that KO deck is pretty fucking boring, right?
Yeah. Oh, and that comes up to Azalea. I feel like, I mean, I haven't played Azalea, right? But it sounds like people enjoyed the Azalea deck. I
loved everything about it. And let's talk about it even from a collector's standpoint. You should love the hell out of it too. You should own a case of these.
What was it, like the 1 in 20 or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, for the purple hidden agenda. I still want one. The only problem is that whenever you basically just have to build a deck that's all around aim counters, which is fine, and I really do like that. I like that all the equipment in that deck did something. It was like Snapdragon scalers, but for aim counters, and bullseye bracers, but with aim counters. And the headpiece. The headpiece is actually pretty crazy for aggro. I think if you, I actually think that the way that you can get multiple draws off that headpiece is like, I think you could make a pretty competitive Azalea deck around aim counters doing that.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. And like you said, I do appreciate the collector thing. It's something that Weiss does, Weiss Schwartz, where you can buy a box and one of the boxes in that case will have a super rare or whatever. It's never made me want to open up a bunch. I mean, that's as gotcha as it gets though. I've never been gosh, I'm gonna open up 20 decks to get one, and then I destroy all the value of every card in the decks. But
there's another reason to love that. that they printed Stone Rain. It's a Ranger Arrow card, Stone Rain, and it's actually hand disruption. It makes the opponent banish a card from their hand until the end of their turn. So, you know, whenever you actually are building that aim counter deck, you have another big threat.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna. Oops, nope. So me in my head.
Veil.
I was gonna say I would put it maybe just above it, but
sure. Yeah.
You agree with that? Yeah. All right. Let me actually.
Because we do need to even it out, because I do think that even though I shit on the KO deck, like Armory decks are still awesome.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's pretty solid, and I want to make sure. I think a lot of these other Armory decks are gonna kind of live here in the middle, but so let's see. We did Coyote, Azalea, Bolton. I have to be honest with you. I didn't even know that there's an Armory deck for Bolton.
Well, Bolton's probably the least popular out of these heroes, I think. I mean, I just at a guess based on how many people I see playing Bolton, because I think the deck is a good enough combo deck that you should probably see it top more often than it does, but you do see it top. So that's why I guess that it's not as popular, because I just think we would see a lot more Bolton if it was.
I don't even know, when did it even come out? Like, this was just on my list of 2024 stuff, and I was like, did it come out this year? Like, I just don't remember it happening.
I think did it come out before Azalea, or was it after Azalea? I thought it was before Azalea, to be honest with you. Maybe it's not.
No
it doesn't
idea.
really matter. All I know is that also gave him an alternate thing, like I forget the name, but the chest piece makes it so that yellow cards you play cost one less. So like, it could actually give you a decent amount of value. However, you know, people mostly just want to play the other Soulbound Resolve, the other chess piece that they made specifically for Bolton in a previous set. I think that could be one of the reasons that people don't play Bolton more, is that you gotta get a bunch of Monarch cards, and you gotta dig deep into Dynasty, or not Dynasty, Dust Till.
Yeah. I mean, my out-of-pocket response to Armory deck Bolton is below KO, but
really,
well, I mean, I just don't. I mean, it's not brought up. No one talks about it. And I'm thinking impact. Like, what impact did Bolton have to everything, right? Like, Azalea introduced like a new type of collectability. KO at least was like word of mouth to people. It was brought up a lot. It was a marketing thing. I think it invigorated some stuff a bit. But what did Bolton do?
I mean, right. I guess it didn't make the Bolton deck like overpowered, but it certainly gave some great cards. Like, Bolton's got another defense reaction that was printed in that deck. I think it's a more fun deck to play than KO.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I mean, that might be true. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Just looking even at Armory decks as a whole, right? Like, Jarl had a lot of hype, right? Like, it was a fan favorite. People really loved it. It didn't deliver in the deck wise side of things, but you know, at least there was
Bolton.
Yeah, well, it was impact. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. You know, Azalea did something interesting. KO did something interesting. Dash did something interesting. Jarl was interesting. What did Bolton do?
I don't know. I mean, I think that whenever you look at Bolton, he gives, like, if I look at those 5 decks, KO is red deck wins. Azalea is like, I don't know, what's like a disruptive type of deck. It's almost like stacks, but not really, I guess. Bolton is like a combo deck, and Dash is a combo aggro deck as well, except it's a lot of chance based, because you got to hit stuff off the top. I think Bolton gives people that sort of mid-rangey combo hero. Like, Jarl is like pure block, like, control. Bolton is like control combo. Dash is like aggro combo. KO is full aggro. And Azalea is like control aggro, if that makes any sense. Because I say control as like the disruption point. So it's like I think each of the 5 decks that have come out exist on the spectrum of how a Flesh and Blood deck can operate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he fits the point that is more mid-range than any other deck, and people do love to play their mid-range decks.
Yeah. Well, I think this is kind of where I was getting back to at the beginning. I was like, do we rank on community impact versus or just like how good something was? Because it just being a good functional deck, I think would put it right in the middle. But community impact, I don't think is nearly as high.
I think it deserves to be right in the middle because the community impact wasn't negative. Just because it wasn't the most popular thing doesn't mean that it's bad.
I think we'll settle somewhere between the two of us. Let's go with like. Oh, let me reshrink it. Let me shrink down into placement mode. How about like here?
That's fine.
Yeah. We'll get it up. What I'll do is I'll export this as a. Oop, nope. Shoot. I keep forgetting you can't. Just because I see it doesn't mean I can click it. Gotta click the layer and move it. Yeah, I'll export this as a solid image and I'll throw it up on all the social media and stuff after this. But the shoot, I don't remember what I was getting. Oh yeah, it's just kind of smaller because it's on stream. This is actually like a 3240 by 1440, I think. Like it's a 4K thing. I'm really zoomed out for this.
Yeah, I can see it better on the stream than I can on the Discord screen, but I'm watching it on Discord so that I'm closer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry about that. I wonder if I can make. Oh well, I don't know if I can make it that much bigger.
That's not a big deal.
Yeah, we'll make it a little bigger at least.
It looked better before.
Oh, did it? All right. Well.
Yeah, you're getting too fiddly. It's fine.
Okay. So, all right, yeah. So I think this is probably the midpoint between I think where you would put it, where I would put it for Bolton.
Yeah, sounds about right. Let's do Dash next.
You want to do Dash next? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, because Jarl came out after Dash.
Oh yeah, I know, but it wasn't in the order. No, that's right. All right, Dash. I probably would have put this higher than Azalea.
I'll put it higher than Azalea because that card made high. That deck meant high octane had to get banned. That's how good the cards in that deck are.
Yeah, like
as soon as the deck came out, it started placing because the high octane wasn't banned yet, and then they banned high octane, and it's still a pretty damn good deck. And I showed the LGS owner, he's learning how to play the game, and I showed him the Dash IO deck. And he's, I'm like taking him through how a turn works. He's like cranking a item off the top and getting an action point, and I'm explaining to him about how you can get extra action points versus go again or whatever. And I'm explaining how all these items come into play, and he's got counters to put on his gun. And he was just sort of like at a loss that this was an off-the-shelf pre-constructed deck. Like it does what a Dash deck should do. Literally, like I'd say the only problem with it is the fact that to make it really, really good, you've got to turn around and buy 3 twin drives and whatever. But I would assume that the Bright Lights EV is still okay simply because of cards like Twin Drive.
Yeah, I think as soon as I heard about all the people like showing up with all the decks just waiting for that hero, I was like, wow, people were pumped and excited. And I definitely think, I think it was the second most hyped up Armory deck that everyone was pretty positive about. So I think it belongs right where it's at, probably. Yeah. Now, we are maybe gonna argue about this one. Jarl. Now, Jarl, some pros and cons, right? Jarl was, for some reason, beloved by fans based off of flavor text alone, off of cards. People were real pumped about Jarl. I mean, there were some lore before. The lore after has been fantastic for Jarl, right? He's got one of the most iconic weapons in the game. He's got a lot going for him in every department other than playing, I think, right? Is that fair to say?
I mean, so it's not like the deck can't win. I saw a top with it. It was a top 8 for something. I don't even know what it was. So I mean, the deck still works. And it's a replacement for the Earth Ice hero Oldhim. So I mean, it does what it needs to do. Jarl is great. I think that for the community, it's awesome because people loved Jarl and they made a deck for Jarl. They made Jarl because people loved the art, and you like to see that type of thing, right? You are happy when LSS listens. You know, as much as I get annoyed that they listened to ban Count Your Blessings Blue, I'm glad that they listened to make Jarl.
Yeah. So, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first where I would put it?
I would put it right under Mistveil, but still up there.
Oh, okay. It's not as high as or it's higher than I would have put it, but I was gonna say I was probably gonna put it like here. But I'll meet you in the middle here, though I'm not really sure what else is gonna fit in there. I should have made this bigger.
Maybe we can put the first strike decks in there or something.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, me personally, I was really underwhelmed by Summit. I thought that the weapon looks cool, but I hate paying 6. I hate that they gave us a two-handed weapon and still made it so that, you know, you got to go and pack a Sledge of Anvilheim. And don't get me wrong, Sledge of Anvilheim's cool. I'm glad that Crucible has still got legs. You know, it's got stuff. But, like, it very much bothers me that you need to buy a Sledge for the Jarl Mirror match because you don't want to pay 7 for the Summit. I just think Summit costing 6 is ludicrous. I don't like it.
Yeah. All right. First strike, I'm going to lean on you as well, because I got to tell you, I saw a lot of hype, and I don't even say a hype. I saw a lot of marketing about First Strike coming out, and then I didn't realize it came out until I think people were happy with Terra, and then I just haven't heard anything. I mean, Terra comes in, you see a couple wins over here and there, but
I mean, I think
it's just seemed very middling to me, right? Like, I don't know.
I think it's hard to judge because, you know, it's the first strike decks are not for me. They're not for you. They're for somebody that's just learning the game. Like, if I would have had a brain in my head, I would have made sure that I had some first strike decks before I was trying to teach this LGS owner how to play. Because they're amazing. Like, it's really great product for learning the game because it has talents but like easy to digest talents so that people understand what's going on. Because I think the first time talents came around, Arya had the fuse mechanic, and I think that the fuse mechanic was probably a little bit more challenging than like decompose or I don't even remember. They came up with a mechanic name for like playing a lightning card this turn. It's like lightning flow or something. And I just think, and not to mention they printed some cards in it. You know, there's a couple lightning non-attack actions. I don't remember the name of it because I don't think it ends up in tournament decks, but it's still like a +3 to your next lightning or something like that. And then they also had flourish and thrive in the Terra deck, where you can get, every time you get a plus, it gets +1 more than that, so you can do crazy things with fire breathing. I love that they made a starter deck package that is so good to learn the game on, and yet still has that open-ended type of card, like Carol was warning everybody about, in it. So, like, if you're a person starting this game and you buy that deck, maybe you're not using that Terra deck today or tomorrow, but let's say it's just in your collection and they finally make some cards that make that thrive, or I don't remember which one's the one for the whole turn, if it's thrive or flourish, but once that card is broken, it's kind of cool that as a new player you just happen to have that because the deck that you started with had this broken ass card in it.
Yeah, and I think the Terra fans are pretty vocal. At least on, it seems like on the subreddit, I see something about Terra. You know, every few visits.
Well, Count Your Blessings isn't banned in Blitz, so Terra, Count Your Blessings is the new boogeyman now that Victor's gone.
Oh, so yeah, we should see that. Actually, that's some pretty. I doubt it was on purpose, but that's some cool filling up. You know, get your starter decks, and then you're right into meta. So, I would put this. Gosh, where would I put this? I was thinking probably just below Jarl. I think.
Ah, see, I was gonna put it above Jarl.
Oh geez. Now how do we split that? I could Yeah, okay.
I just think it's a more friendly product than Jarl. I think that there's plenty of people that are gonna love Jarl off the shelf, but I think that the people who buy First Strike are more likely to be happy with their First Strike purchase than the people buying Jarl to be happy with Jarl.
Okay. I can live with that. And the next event is going to be Yager entertaining chat while I go to the restroom. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'll be right back. Oh yeah.
Eddie,
You think? Yeah, you.
Person in there.
Well, there's, don't forget our. Well, that's half of our Twitch audience, but we got YouTube and Kick over there too. So lots of people.
I do apologize if there's people actually watching on Kick and those aren't bots. You know, then I apologize to you if you're a real person over there on Kick. But I noticed that on this, I pulled up the happy Christmas thing where they talked about the milestones, and I'm looking through these things, and were you gonna leave? He's so funny. I'm like he's like, oh yeah, you need to entertain these people while I leave, and then I start talking and he's staring at me like he wants to listen to what I'm talking about. So anyway, I pulled up the list to look at these things because he's gonna. What else do we got on here that's still up here? 5th anniversary, Living Legend, 150, Japan launch, Mexico launch, Collectors Week. He didn't even put on here. Well, no, I guess he did. I didn't think about it, but one of the awesome things about heavy hitters was that special command and conquer. That everybody that won an event with Kasai got a command and conquer with Kasai on it. And I thought that was pretty awesome. And that is not a thing that is up here. And it's actually not even something that they mentioned on here. They say clashed and wagered in the deathmatch arena with the hugely popular heavy hitters, but they didn't even mention that they printed a special promo for all the skirmish winners of the heavy hitters season, which I think is extremely newsworthy. I think that the Command and Conquer prize that they sent out to all those people, I'm incredibly jealous of that. I love Command and Conquer. I'm a bit of a Command and Conquer collector. Uh, I'm just sad I didn't win something on Kasai when I could have. I should have went and did as many as I could to try and win. So Dan, I don't know if you heard
Yeah.
this.
Well, I
The
mean, there
command,
was what
special
two?
command and conquer.
Yeah, there was what like 200 people who ended up with that. I think.
I think it's more like 60.
Oh, really? That low?
Yeah, yeah. That command and conquer is actually, I'm pretty sure it goes for thousands.
Yeah, because I think once you hit like 60, that puts it into gold foil range for print runs.
Yeah,
So
no, that's a crazy promo that I can't believe that they don't mention on here, because
I
the
just
fact that they did something like that is like up there with Spurlocked, in my opinion. Which we also don't even have Spurlocked on here. We didn't talk about Spurlocked. It wasn't in your notes.
well, Spurlocked it would be under the hunted cards so far, right?
No, true. But I think it's more newsworthy than just being a spoiler, because Brody Spurlock got his ham sandwich and middle finger and mug on this picture, on this card now.
Oh, well, we'll get there. We'll get there. But no, yeah, I guess I don't know. It was an interesting event that I don't think did as well as they thought it was going to do, because there weren't that many people. Well, I don't know, like, because it had to do with people winning with those heroes, and then they made heroes that no one really wanted to play. So like,
Well, no, they made heroes that people wanted to play. They just weren't good
sucked.
enough.
Yeah.
Like, believe me, people want to play Kasai. Kasai's
Yeah.
a very popular hero, and she's just not good enough for the meta to actually embrace her like that.
Yeah, that's a shame. But 5th anniversary.
5th anniversary was huge. We can put it up there, like next to Mist Veil or above the Mist Veil. I love having that milestone, so that whenever you were talking to new people, you can be like, no, it's been around for 5 years. I've been playing it forever. Like, this is not some kind of Fugazi pyramid scheme. Like, I love that they're hitting milestones. I love that they're celebrating milestones. I love the little coin that I got from Metal Fab Tokens that's to commemorate the Osaka 5th year anniversary. Yeah,
Yeah. I know you want it right there between these, but I'm gonna put a little lower because I think there's another one here that I really want to put higher.
Okay.
Actually, I think realistically, there's of this list, there's one thing I think higher than Rosetta IMO.
All right, well, we'll see when we get there.
All right, and we're there. Living Legend kicks off. I love the fact that Living Legend format is now like at events. We're getting weekly updates on the skirmish season on Living Legend. I think bringing back these heroes that because people genuinely get upset like when they're heroes. Like people get so attached to these heroes, which is fantastic for the game, in my opinion, right? Like, find a hero you love, lash onto it, ride them through the meta. The fact that, I think a lot of kitchen table players were probably still playing them anyways, but to see you've always been a Starvo fan, and seeing Starvo numbers every single week, seeing big games, new decks, new innovations, for just the best of the best. Living Legends is, to me, like peak competitive.
Yeah, I agree. I like it a lot as well. And even to the Starvo haters, deal with it.
Yeah.
Get starstruck, honestly, because
Yeah.
Michael Hamilton won an event and didn't even play Starstruck, and then the guy that came in second was using 3 Starstruck. There's so much deck building diversity that can work. The fact that it's a Majestic that was limited at one point and then became unbanned, and then Michael Hamilton goes and wins an event without any of them anyway, is just like and then people were trying to get Electromagnetic Somersault banned or limited, and I think people don't understand that Bravo Star of the Show was extremely strong, and they made this format so that they could keep playing extremely strong heroes. like star of the show. And there's so many people, including me, that love the high-powered formats, love the high-powered cards. You know, if the Art of War ban hurt you in any way, just play Living Legend.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about this last episode as well. We talk about, you know, the self-insert, the, you know, that power fantasy, right? You just want to be a big badass hero kicking ass, right? And that's where Living Legend is, I think, right? Like that is peak power fantasy. Just
yeah, like
right, like,
classic constructed. You're like level 10 Dungeons and Dragons. Living Legend is like what's the isn't there some kind of logarithmic scale? It's like level 14 or 15 is like you're a god or something.
No, well, like 20, you're probably like running an empire. Like you have a kingdom under you. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, that's why I really love the Living Legends. Just finally, because and the thing is like the anticipation, right? These first 5 years, you know, as these heroes went off to Living Legend, you're like, oh man, I can't wait to play him again. And then, but you knew it was coming. You knew it just took enough heroes. And now, you know, a third of Living Legend decks are Living Legends even. So like, I don't know.
And can I just
really
say that those first couple of weeks that Starvo was winning and didn't have Felling the Crown, I was like scratching my head thinking, oh wow, I guess I was actually wrong. You know, Felling the Crown just doesn't fit with the Go Again plan or whatever. And then all of a sudden, now we get a couple more weeks in and the meta's developed. What do you know? Felling the Crown is in the lists. I'm not crazy. Felling the Crown is an amazing card, and you know, even if it needs to be shoehorned, it's a fantastic Earth card that still ended up in the deck. So I'm counting that as an I was right moment.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Living Legends. I don't think anything will top Living Legends really popping off, but we'll see. I'm really just gonna reformat this before I export it, I think. So we'll just kind of get them in a general direction here, because some of these,
that's fine, because we need to talk. What we're gonna do is what we should make it is like this is a rating of like how riled up we are about it.
150,000 armor events.
I think this is up there with 5th anniversary because it's a number.
Yeah.
It's I like having these numbers.
I like having the numbers, but I don't think it was as impactful, obviously, as 5th anniversary. Like, impact wise, what it's doing isn't like amplifying anything, but it's oh my gosh, I'm gonna blank on the word. Reaffirming. It's reaffirming that we all made the right decision. We picked the right game. We can see it, right? Like 150,000 events. It's clearly going global. You know, it's played in 25% of all countries at this point.
Yeah, it's a number that makes you feel good. But you know, yeah, it's fine.
But I don't know if I was gonna think it's maybe. I would probably put it between First Strike and Jarl.
Sure, that sounds good.
Yeah, you like that? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Because
for right now, it's just gonna live right there. I'll move things.
I think it's important for us to keep aware of those numbers, and it's great to hear when we, you know, get those different milestones. I mean, so 150,000 between 5 years. So what was that? 30,000. 30,000.
30,000 a year, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not actually 30,000 a year. That would be the average, but because you know it grows exponentially, right? I think back to like when it had like 1,000 stores, and now we're up to like 3,000 or 4,000 stores now. So, yeah, and that kind of brings us into these. So I didn't actually know how I wanted to put these in, right? Because I'm just a big fan of them branching into new countries as a whole. And the two most talked about were Japan and Mexico. I don't know if they were the actual only two countries they expanded to this year. I have a feeling it was more than that. But Japan and Mexico were the most talked about. But Japan, I mean, way more so. And Japan had some cultural impact. I almost just put new countries, but
I mean,
think
Japan
that
has got to be up there as well. It's got to be high
because
you know
inspiration, right? Like,
Japan is amazing at card games. They love their card games. You know, not to say that every card game that makes it in Japan makes it to America or makes it everywhere else, but they are certainly good judges. So, like, you're not gonna bring in a foreign card game to them and have it be successful unless it's really good. Because, I mean, they've got XYZ card game that's definitely in their language without any kind of grammatical errors, and because
yeah,
I know how their translation team. I mean, I don't literally know, but I've seen the evidence from other cards in different languages. I know there's probably plenty of grammatical errors on those Japanese cards that they probably wouldn't have to put up with on a Japanese card game because that just wouldn't happen. But the game is so good that those type of things can be overlooked, and I think that that's an important thing to look at.
and from a sales perspective, right? Like, people I don't think really understand how ridiculous the Japanese market is. Like, if you're looking at like the top 20, selling card games, I mean, the fact that you can have a top 20 selling out of like 100 something card games in Japan is wild and not something you'd see here. But like, I don't even think Magic was top 20 last time I looked, right? So to see a market where a game like Flesh and Blood can slide into, I don't know where it is in that list. Probably not in the top 20 either at this point. But that market is so incredibly saturated, and to have a game go in there and succeed is incredible. So I think that's a huge step for them. Japan, we talk about, I think, Def Talk 10, the Brian interview. Japan was huge for him, is a huge inspiration. I mean, obviously with part of Mistveil. Worlds being in Osaka was huge, and then they had what was the event right after? Oh shoot, what was the other? There was another one, another country, a huge event that people just stuck around a week after Worlds. It was one of the. I don't have my notes from last one, but I don't know. Anyways,
Osaka, so it was. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what city it was, but it was another one that wasn't that far away. So a lot of people just stayed in country and went over to that event. So I think, you look, this is the country that has like records for the most people, like, for a card event. I think it's usually Yu-Gi-Oh, but like this, if you, outside of America, the country you want your game to pop off is Japan, and they did really well in Japan. So I personally would put this between Azalea and Dash, I think.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that the 5th anniversary and the Japan launch is sort of like those two together and make it even better. Like, if it was just their 5th anniversary, I would still be very excited about the 5th number. If it was just launching in Japan, I would still be very excited about that. But like, the fact that it was such a huge event probably really hammered it home, I think, or at least I hope that the Japanese people there like really understood that. Like, I feel like they did the 5th anniversary in Osaka with the launch of Part the Mistveil, like, specifically to like should just be like, this is how important the Japanese market is.
Okay. Mexico launch. I actually had this on our list of topics to talk about for like 3 weeks before I think, kind of forced it at some point. Because it wasn't very newsworthy, unfortunately, right? Like, but people were excited because Central America and South America are actually huge markets for trading cards as well. You hear a lot of talk about like Colombia, like I don't know. until I started digging into things more often, I didn't think like, oh, Colombia, yeah, that's like a major Yu-Gi-Oh hub. No, I never would have thought that. Like, but it is, and there's a lot of popular games down there.
Well,
And
they're like extremely competitive nerds. Like you look at the fighting game scene. I might be incorrect. I hope I'm not putting my foot in my mouth. But isn't Mena RD Brazilian or something? The Street Fighter 6 guy. I mean,
I don't know enough about Street Fighter, but yeah, no, but Brazil, you know, actually we talked about this when we were talking about the Osaka event, right, at Worlds, that a whole crew of people from Brazil, like they're like all the big competitive players were like, we got plane tickets, we're going to show you guys, you know, what Brazil's got. So I think Mexico, while not necessarily exciting on its own, they're building distribution and everything down there for, I think, South America and Central America. So I think over the next year or two, we're going to start seeing a lot more support for these countries that are already, you know, super into the game. So that'll be another.
And I do want to say that the some of the actual learn to play booths that I saw from Mexico that had all the Rosetta like art and stuff on it, like they were really eye catching. Like I hope that they did well. I mean, I feel like if I was walking around one of those conventions and saw that Rosetta booth lit up the way that it was, I wouldn't be able to stay away from it. So, I mean, it looked good.
I didn't actually, one of the events on the holiday list that I didn't add to this list was their like increased convention presence, which I don't know. I just couldn't talk to enough, I don't think. I mean, it's great that they did it, but I don't know where I would put it on a list, but it is something that they're very proud of, and I'm glad that they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely heard about like, oh, well, you guys are going to be at PAX or like whatever. I've heard that type of stuff before, so wherever they can get product into people's hands.
Yeah. But Mexico launch, I want to put above Bolton. I think right above Bolton, maybe. I don't know. Sure. Yeah, because I don't think it's. I mean,
I can't be upset about a new country launch. I want the game to spread like a disease.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, it's the gateway country, I think, to a whole bunch of more players coming in. Really, I should just kind of move things down at this point to make sure we're kind of top heavy. Because, I mean, this was more just a guideline, right? Like, not everything down here is bad necessarily, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, this year was really great. I mean, you look at their list, and I'm extremely pleased with it.
Yes.
I'm hardly ever critical, though.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to be a little bit more real about things. But this layer is called Ira Grows Up.
Ira Grows Up is huge.
This was massive.
I think there's a lot of old heads like me that started the game with the Ira Blitz deck, the Learn to Play Ira deck, and getting adult Ira is awesome. And I would do nasty things to get a cold foil Japanese Ira, but what I won't do is pay $3,000. So.
Yeah.
It's absolutely stunning card though. I like out of the 3 Japanese promos that they did, the Ira, the Dorinthia, and the Viserai, no questions, Ira's the best one in my opinion.
Yeah. Now the hard part to me is where it, oh, okay. Well, all right. So to also go into it, like, you know, we talked a lot about the ability for like hero promos coming in, really expanding, you know, the pool. It's an instant meta shakeup. It happens between sets. You know, I think this way of more broadly introducing promo heroes is fantastic. So I don't know. I don't want to keep going into it because I feel like I've probably spent hours on previous ones combined talking about why I like promo heroes. I want to put this above 5th. Where do you think? Ask your cat.
Yeah, Colin, what do you think?
Colin. I've been seeing the shadows of his ears pop up on the screen behind you, and then I'm like, he's coming. I can see him.
He's coming. He's coming. Come here, buddy. No, but I think that I would probably put it more around First Strike under Mistvale. And that's simply because, like, I love Ira, that she's great. I just, it's not that impactful. I mean, she did start placing as soon as she came out, which was unsurprising, because we all knew that KO was a good deck. I personally think that they made KO Armed and Dangerous to test the waters of is +1 per turn too good. Because KO's ability is like the first 6 you discard a turn, you make a might. And that's a very, very similar value proposition to Ira, just getting 2 on her second attack each turn. And, I mean, it's just good to have the character finally in adult version because of how popular she is. And she, much like Bolton, is a mid-range, control-y, grindy deck. She doesn't have to be straight-up control. She doesn't have to be straight-up aggro. She just does stuff like Kodachi, Go Again, Command and Conquer, or Race Face, or Weakest Link for 7. I would say that she's, unfortunately, probably one of the most expensive decks to play in the format, because what makes her good is that she takes cards that are already good on their face and makes them better by hitting a stronger breakpoint. So you basically just end up playing all the expensive generics.
Yeah, I'm just kind of rearranging these into. So we just have a mashup going on up there. Yeah, I think, I don't know. To me, it's not as much the card as much as what it means for the future, and them showing that they're willing to like really mix things up between sets. So I like that. And replace heroes. Well, I think the problem before was like the Living Legends wasn't as big of a deal yet. So like if your hero rotated out, you just had to like find basically the next comparable hero and then kind of like roll your deck over into it. And yeah, the Ira's just a really big sign that's gonna happen. So Ira's gonna live there, I think, in between the middle of what we were talking. So Ira grows up, you live, and it's unfortunate I picked the card. I shouldn't have picked the card, but it's such a beautiful card. I love the art on that one that I had to use it. So
you shouldn't help putting the art on there just because.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, now I think it's gonna get real weird with the next. We got 2 left. One that I'm way excited about was Collector's Week. I loved Collector's Week because they released a whole bunch of numbers that I could use to like compute stuff. But they had I just loved that they were dropping articles, like a couple articles a day, it seemed like, about everything. Anything, there are any large amounts of communication from LSS about the game, about where they're going, about new stuff. I don't know. I'm just always like, I'm a big fan. I like the behind the scenes numbers. So
I'm glad that they did the Collector's Week, because I do believe in collectability and whatnot. But honestly, whenever you brought it up, I was sort of like forgot that it was even a thing.
Oh no, it was like one of my favorite big events of the year, I think. That's
I'm glad that we got the print numbers and everything. That's awesome. But yeah, to be honest, I didn't really I was just like, oh hey, yay, cool. And then and then we moved on.
This is your Bolton Armory deck.
This is my Bolton Armory deck.
Oh gosh, I wouldn't want to put it by Armory deck though. I would very safely think I would put it between Mexico Launch and Jarl, I think.
Mexico Launch and Jarl.
Down here. Right here, yeah. Unless you think it should be
Yeah,
higher.
that seems about fair. No, I was thinking lower. But still,
Oh.
that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it had like the impact that like Jarl had, but I think it was more so the Mexico. I mean, some some of these are just like good signs of what's coming down the road, like the Mexico launch. I think the IRA release. Actually, the one thing we didn't talk about with the Jarl deck was the legendary. Like legendaries coming in armory decks.
The Gauntlets of Boreal Domain, I actually had a note to talk about Michael Hamilton's deck about that as well. There were so many Jarl cards that made it into that Starvo deck because they were playing Frozen to death because it was an ice card that blocked 3, I guess. So that was pretty nice. And also, Michael Hamilton had Gauntlets of Boreal Domain in his deck, I can only assume because it's Temper 2, and that's better than Blade Break 2. Although, I don't know why he didn't just use the other Gauntlets. So I couldn't quite understand what was going on there, to be honest.
That's all right. All right. One last thing for our wrap up. This year, the dumpster dive. I think as a whole, articles have really been pumping out. They've had a ton of guest writers. They've got like the full-time lore team now. So, and we see a lot more metagame minutes. We're seeing a lot more reviews of certain calling events, battle hardens. I've just been happy with that level of it, but then they added Dumpster Dive. And Dumpster Dive, I love to read. I think it's such an amazing resource for new players, or even people who just want to have like a bit of a sillier time with things. So, because my thing was always like, I want a silly deck. Like I want the fab version of a squirrel deck, like, or something goofy, and that's what you get a lot of these dumpster dives. And I think it definitely showed that you can have a lot more fun with the decks. Not everyone's taking it seriously, as you may think people are. I like that it's like another community driven event as well. It's very interactive with the community, because regular players are submitting a lot of these decks. So if not all, I think it's most. I don't think it's all. I think it's the majority of them. But
yeah, they're submitted decks.
Yeah,
it's just commoner. Commoner is the only stipulation.
Yeah, and Commoner, like I say, Commoner's just that, those intro decks, right? Like how you hook the new players in. If you want to give someone an interesting first experience with the game. I don't know if I'd give them a dumpster dive deck, but shortly after they learn how to play, I'd give them a dumpster dive deck. Just because it's cheap and fun, and I appreciate the insights with all of that. So...
yeah, I love having more content to read and talk about, so I think it's pretty huge. I like Kasharn's articles. I think it's important to keep pumping out stuff to keep people engaged.
All right, my gut reaction for Dumpster Dive is actually, I think, between Japan and Dash.
I like it. Yeah, that's a perfect spot, honestly. Because I think the fact that they can even have somebody like Kasharn around on payroll shows how well they're doing. Because they can have time dedicated to just writing articles for the community and doing things like that, which I think is really great.
All right, and then I'm trying to quickly see if I can get them at least adjusted a bit for stream here. Shoot, sorry, this is... Oh, I have to go layer by layer. I'm really glad I named all these layers right before I did this. Okay. All right. And wait, where did I say I wanted it? I said between Japan and Dash, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Dumpster dive. Where are you? All right. And that wraps it up. I mean, now that we've actually done everything, do you think there's any you would? Do you have any second thoughts, or are you pretty happy with where everything ended up?
I think I'm pretty happy with where everything ended up. I think I'm okay with KO being the worst out of those things. Because I hate that it was the first armory deck and we're saying that that's the worst thing, but yeah, I mean it's the worst armory deck, I think. I you know, they could have shut me up. They just put Blood Rush Bellow in it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a little bad because it was like their big marketing one. They're like, oh yeah, so and so. I think in Indonesia they just roll up and they're just, beating ass with this deck. But like, that was it. That's really all you heard about it. Was they decided to latch onto it for marketing, and then that's about it. But all right, and that wraps us up with this. So, holy crap, it's 9:10. This took a little longer than I thought it was gonna. I wanted to do this early on in the stream, but I think we ended up talking about it way more than I was anticipating, which does seem to happen a lot. But we didn't get to talk hunted at all.
We didn't talk about any of the arachnes, which is crazy.
Right? Yeah.
Hey, it's something to talk about next time.
Yeah, next time.
Maybe we'll have all 6 arachnes by then, and we'll talk about all 6 of them within context. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because that's what I was trying to hunt down some numbers. Yeah, no, it's yeah, I think we were mostly right. Right? I think. I think it's a symbiote, and I think we're going to be getting a lot of dice play.
Well, I think it's not a symbiote. I think they are just a person with many facets, I guess.
Oh.
They're a shapeshifter. I think they're just a spider. I think they're part of the spider race that is shapeshifters.
All right, we'll have a lot to talk about next time. It'll be especially as more stuff comes out. No, but I really liked as soon as I saw like numbers 1 through 6. I was like, well, dice are back in the game. It's
that will certainly be the right way to choose which arachne you get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some people will just shuffle them and pick one or something, but
I'll have an aneurysm if anyone does that to me. They're numbered 1 to 6 for a dice.
Right? Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. But we can talk about that next week. So, let's see. There were a lot of events I wanted to talk about. We did talk about Chicago, Kuala Lumpur, Houston, Wellington. There is a new dumpster dive that we can talk about next week as well. I think we're going to have a really slow week, so it's probably good to have a lot of stuff come up next week. I think everyone's pretty much taken off. I don't think there's any events this weekend, right? Yeah, so
no, because it's the end of the year. They're already done. We're not going to really have much of anything to talk about except more spoilers.
Yeah, so it all works out here. So let's wrap this up. Is there anything you want to say?
Say is stop back next time, and we will rile you up again.
All right, thank you all. See you next week.